Hello and welcome to another video tutorial. Today I'm going to show you a simple process of grid journaling and how to turn your grid journaling pieces into ephemera that you can use in your junk journals. So let's start with the grid. I'm using a Trivial Pursuit card as a template to create small boxes of equal size on a used copy paper. So this will be the grid. It doesn't have to be perfect, these are just for guidelines. Next step, I'm adding some scribbling to each box. So I'm just writing down some words that come to my mind. It doesn't have to be words, it could be just scribble. Most of it will be covered anyway. Next up, I'm applying some strong instant coffee with a watercolor brush to each and every box. I really love this part. I'm using a lot of coffee with a wet brush. As I'm using regular copy paper, it'll buckle and wrinkle, and eventually this will turn into really interesting and pretty stains to the paper. When I'm done with my coffee, I let it air dry for half an hour or so before I go on. The next layer will be made of paper scraps. So I'm just adding bits and pieces here and there. This kind of paper with tiny text is very useful in collages. This is an old book page that I've stenciled and stamped with acrylic paints. My inspiration for this video came from YouTube, from a channel called BB Henry Art. But my version will be a little bit different. She didn't use coffee and her boxes were square, but the process is the same. I've seen videos on grid journaling before, but I've never really tried it before. BB Henry made it look so fun that I just had to do it. So I just made 4 boxes to try it out, and you can see my first attempts on grid journaling on the right. And it was fun, really. I leave a link to her channel in the description box if you're interested. So this is my second experiment on grid journaling. I also had the idea that I could use these as tags and journaling cards and flips in my next mixed media junk journal that I'm currently working on. This process reminds me of making ATC cards, when you're working on a series of small collages at the same time. I like abstract art, but for some reason I've not been happy with my abstract art, not until now. This technique really makes creating abstract art fun. You just work your way, adding bits and pieces where you feel they should be. And just like that, you created lovely clusters without too much thinking. It's very enjoyable and doesn't take too much time. Next step, I'm adding mark making with a charcoal pencil here. I decided I wanted to have more paint in my boxes, so now I'm adding some black watercolor. I noticed I had forgotten to add a piece of old book page to one of the boxes, so I'm adding it now, as I want all the boxes to have the same elements. You could leave it like this, but because I'm turning these into tags and journaling cards, I decided that now would be a good time to add a focal point to every box. I have some old postage stamps and some printable photos that I'm using as focal points. I printed out some photos from Catwoman Journal's Ladies and Gentlemen collection in a very small size. These are printed on copy paper, so they're like small magazine cuts. I think they're perfect for small collages. I'm shadowing with an Inktense pen. The color is bark. I'm also painting the edges. I also have these stamps with a piece of an envelope that I like. I think they'll be nice in collages. I'm adhering this with a glue stick. This one is printed on actual photo paper, so I'm using craft glue to make sure it sticks. As the ink of the Inktense pen is still wet, it blends with the thin paper photo, which is nice. It kind of blends in the collage. Mark making with a pigment pen. Just a little bit more coffee. So now we're done with the grid journaling part, and this is how they turned out. Next up, let's see how to use these in junk journals. I already made this tag. I used one of the grid journaling boxes here in the middle, and I added some handwriting to the top and bottom like this. This is a journaling card that I backed up with a piece of an index card with brown edges that I painted with coffee. And I added a piece of an old book page with the stamped word sunshine. I added some brown hand stitching to this one to add some interest. And some lace here, and I cut a piece of an old book page that I'm using to back this up, and I'll make it a flip to a grungy junk journal that I'm working on. Because of the stitching, I think it's better to use wet glue and not a glue stick here. I'm making a bow out of a strip of nice brown fabric. This is how you can make a basic journaling card. I'm just tearing the grid journaling box out of the paper using a ruler. Glue stick works here very well. I'm sorry, my camera is out of focus, so this part of the video is a little bit blurry. Stamped words. I made some grid journaling pages of the camera, and this one I really love. The dark lines are made with a cheap calligraphy marker that blended nicely with coffee. I really love this color combination. So I'm making a couple of journaling cards with these turquoise and brown backgrounds as well. I'm backing them up with pieces of index cards, but I'm leaving the edges white this time. This is printed on photo paper. It's looking very lovely. I really love how it turned out. I also made a couple of journaling cards backing them up with Trivial Pursuit cards. I used this to round the corners. I covered part of the cards with paper and stamped with this nautical blue ink. I quite like these cards too. Blue and coffee brown look great together. This is part 1 of a series of videos I'm going to make on how I'm making an experimental grungy mixed media journal. Here's a little sneak peek to what I'm going to use as pages and parts in the journal. These are some of the ladies and gentlemen from Catwoman journals on Etsy, printed in larger size. I leave a link to the photos as well. These are from Ruby and Pearl for my next journal. These are antique portraits from Catwoman journals. There are 2 sizes, very beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial and got some ideas. And if you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. On my next video I'll turn a grungy old page from a vintage photo album into a journal cover. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure to subscribe now, so you won't miss it. Have a great day. Thank you for watching this video, and see you soon on my next video. Bye!